turkeys or something. All right, we are live. So today is Thursday, September 3rd, and this is a community outreach meeting. Before we jump into stuff on the agenda or stuff not on the agenda, let's go around and have everybody do some quick introductions. We can say your name, where you're from, and if there's anything exciting you want to share with us today. So Tim, let's start with you, and then when you're done, call on someone else to introduce themselves.
Sure. My name's Tim Erickson, St. Paul Tim. I am in Deerwood, Minnesota, and my focus recently has been on working on Backdrop Live, and yeah, I guess that's all I'm going to say. Sarvashri, you're next.
All right, I'm Sarvashri, and I'm in North Carolina, and I am writing up a beginner's guide to Backdrop, and still learning how to do it. Getting started with MAMP this time. I tried using AMPS before, and it had a PHP 8 point something, which didn't work. So I'm moving to MAMP, and Jen was helping me a little bit. I didn't know whether you had MAMP Pro or MAMP, just regular MAMP that you were using, Jen. So.
I'm just using regular, but you done them both at the same time. So I think either one should work. Since I'm talking, I'll go ahead and introduce myself next. I'm Jen Lampton. I'm calling from Oakland, California, and I am very excited about all of the progress that happened on Backdrop last week. Matthias, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'm Matthias, living in Switzerland. I'm a copywriter and helping companies with marketing using Backdrop, or doing a lot of front-end work in Backdrop. And yeah, Gregory?
Yep, Greg, I'm joining from Greece. I'm interested in everything about Backdrop, trying to help as much as I can. And since Sarvashri mentioned 4 easy ways to set up things, I have a script on my computer on Mac, which I ran, and it's called Drop. And you just say drop, issue number, pull request number. Sorry, there's dogs outside. Sorry about that. And then it sets up everything in Lando. So maybe I need to make that open source or shared somewhere people can find it and use it. But I can help with that. And also interested in if Sarvashri, if you put that documentation that you're doing somewhere where everyone can contribute, I'm willing to contribute as well. Luke.
I'm the last one. I'm Luke McCormick. I'm a web product manager that lives in San Ramon, California. I'm currently mismanaging the Ready to Wear initiative for Backdrop, which I'm hoping to bring around. I'm very excited about the Backdrop Live event, and I'm hoping to actually launch my old band site on Backdrop this weekend. I've got a couple pieces that I'm going to put together and try to do with that. Oh, and in the neighborhood where I live in, there's a pack of coyotes, believe it or not, that you know were howling last night, and it's the spookiest sound if you've ever heard like it's really creepy.
Okay.
Anyway, there's that.
Luke, my brother-in-law in the LA area just sent a picture of a coyote today.
Really cool.
He's down in Redondo Beach. So.
I've only actually seen one once, but you know.
Yeah.
Was this the barking in the background?
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. like they'll jump on it. It'll be like super loud, and then it just suddenly stops. I don't know what is happening that causes them to do it and what caused them to stop, but it's there.
Cool.
Okay. So just a quick recap of everything that's happened since our last outreach meeting. Backdrop Live. I don't know if Tim, if you want to talk about everything we've already done.
Sure. We have a simple website up. We went live with registrations probably after the last meeting. We have 6 people registered as of last peak. Was publicizing it a bit last week, but this last, the last 5 or 6 days got consumed with a feature freeze. So not much has happened. But so, I mean, that's really all we've done. We had a meeting last week, a late night meeting to hopefully bring in some Europeans. Mostly Gregory and I talked. Olaf dropped in for a little while, and BW Panda was there for a little bit listening. But we didn't make any big decisions, but we did have an interesting discussion. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
I still think getting the registration open is a big deal.
It
So
was.
I know Tim did like 99% of the work on that. So thank you, Tim, for doing all that. It was great. Okay, so Google Ad Grants is something that we have been trying to pursue. And we originally asked the Software Freedom Conservancy if we could have permission to do it. And they said that their lawyers would look at it, and their lawyers are not getting back to us very quickly. So we have since told them that we are going to proceed, and should their lawyers find a problem in the system, they should let us know and we can retract our application. But we thought there might be enough time involved in getting everything going with them that we might want a head start in case they said yes. And so far they sound okay with that. So I think that's where we are. Laren has started setting up the account on behalf of the Conservancy to list them as a nonprofit so that we can then say that we are part of Conservancy, which should get the whole process moving. So I think that's where we are. We don't have a grant yet, but we are in process. So we at least are making progress again.
And with that, and with activity happening just in the last week or two. So.
Yes. Yeah. And also our primary contact at the Conservancy no longer works there. And so I think we have a new process in which we should work with them, where we have an email address over at the Conservancy where if we send an email to it, it automatically creates a ticket in their system for us. And I think if we use that system rather than contacting an individual person, we're going to get a lot better feedback. So what I might recommend doing for this particular issue is to create another, send an email to that email just to open a ticket and say, like, here's all the correspondence we've had so far, just to make sure that the new person that takes on this process knows what our previous contact had been emailing us about. I mean, I think that'll also help move things along a little faster from here out. I think all of their lawyers have access to their ticketing system. And so that might also be a faster way to move things forward.
Yep.
So I think we've got a good
we should do
plan.
Yep.
I don't know in the world of blog posts, what's happened since our last outreach meeting. It looks like we have a post from Tim about Backdrop Live, which is great, and a post from, I guess this is a post from the Dragon about Backdrop 117, which is great. We've got news on the blog. There will be plenty more news in the coming weeks. So I don't know, like we have sort of a backlog of blog posts that we want to write stuff about, but with 117 coming out and probably more promotion of Backdrop Live, I'm not sure it's necessary to focus on the posts on all of the other stuff. But there is a bunch of other stuff we'd like to write about too, if anyone ever gets time. Okay, let's see. Dashboard notifications. I think this is old. Did we add? I think we added these.
Yeah, we've talked about putting this on the agenda every 2 weeks to just review what's up at the moment and if there's any good ideas. But I think in the same vein as your last note, there's actually a lot going on right now. So basically, I think everything on the dashboard right now has just been up for a couple of weeks. It's pretty fresh. It's about the release and about Backdrop Live. I mean, if somebody does have something that they think should go on the dashboard, I'd be curious. I'm not getting any feedback. Does anybody we probably, those of us working on core see the dashboard every time we log in, but has anybody gotten any feedback if anybody else is like seeing these notices?
Yeah, I've spaced out. So I'm spinning up sandboxes all the time, but I just don't notice it.
Yeah,
I don't know if we need to emphasize it. Yeah, but
I will make an effort to ask my clients if they read the news on the dashboard or not,
Right.
and see if I can prompt them for feedback on that. Because
That would be
I
nice.
also am blind to it. But I bet I know I've got some people who are like super interested in what's going on in Backdrop, and they might like read it and never mention it
Right.
to me. So I think if I can poke them a little bit, that might be helpful.
Well, there's lots of things that people use and we don't hear about. So just because we're not hearing about it doesn't mean it's bad. But
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it's bad. I just
Right.
wonder.
right. But it's like I've yet to get one piece of feedback like, oh, I saw this on the dashboard, right? So go ahead.
Social media stuff. Tim, thank you for doing Twitter. I know I haven't been scheduling stuff recently, which is my fault, but fortunately, Tim's there to save me. Luke, I saw you said you thought that the previous request to manage the Backdrop page might have timed out. Was that on Facebook? But I
Yes.
was unable
Sorry,
to
I was muted.
find the previous invite to cancel it. So from my end, it looks like it's still valid. So I don't know. I can spend some more time working on that today. Anyone else who has a Facebook, I think Tim, I might have sent you an invite too. I'm not sure if you ever got it.
So it's interesting because you apparently haven't noticed that I've posted about 8 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, not surprising I'm not on there, but that's fantastic that you got access to it.
Yes.
Okay, good. So at least I'm not the only roadblocker. And do you also have permission to grant other people access to it?
I don't know. I'll look.
Okay, I think I tried to make everybody else an admin so that if this happened again, I wouldn't be the only one who couldn't figure out how to use Facebook.
But I don't know, again, if anybody's noticing it, but I have been doing a little bit on Facebook for the last 2 weeks.
That's great.
And we're getting some views, but we'll see.
That's great. Let's see, newsletter. So since our last outreach meeting, I did set up an account with an organization, I think it's called Send in Blue, that I was hoping would be sort of a quick fix so that we could use to send newsletter blasts as needed. They were the only service I found that did not charge for uploading more than 2,000 contacts, which is why I chose them. And then I think the way their pricing works, it's like you only pay for what you use. So if you only send one newsletter every 2 months, it should be free, which is sort of what we, I think, are aiming to do. But if we do end up ramping up and using it like once a month or once every 2 weeks, there would be a fees associated with it, which seemed reasonable for until we get Sippy CRM going to just kind of use something that we can kind of limp along with. So I used the info@Backdrop CMS email address, and all of the information for the Send in Blue account should be in the Backdrop 1Password under the marketing account. So anyone who previously had access to MailChimp should now also have access to the Send in Blue information. So if you have any trouble, Tim in particular, if you're interested in that, let me know. I logged in and I set up all of our contacts and I tried to start a campaign, but I got distracted as usual and didn't actually set anything up to send out. I think we've got 2 things we need to email people about right now that are fairly urgent. One of them is Backdrop Live, which I think we should get out really soon. And then the other one will be about the end of September. We'll want to send a blast about Backdrop 117. So I think Backdrop Live would be a great kind of test case to see if we can get this system figured out. Hopefully it'll be a good enough holdover to last us until Civius CRM gets up and going. We will see. Showcase. Oh, geez. Okay, so there's something that is awaiting a final review.
No. So I went on like
Oh,
when
thank
I
goodness.
published it. It was waiting on you. Yes, sorry, Matthias, for frustrating you on that. You were waiting for a couple of weeks. So I think that maybe next time we shouldn't wait so long that the post is legitimate. I think that we should publish it because that's not time critical. It's not like a news thing that we need to get right. We can update it later on if we need to change the wording. So I'm not gonna block anyone anymore. As soon as something's happened, it's legitimate, I'm gonna be publicizing it.
Okay, I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Publicize or publishing?
Publish.
Yeah. My English fails me sometimes.
Yay. Okay, I'm going to remove that from the list because it's no longer my fault. And then I know, speaking of things that need review, the landing page for Drupal Alternative, Matthias, you sent me a Google Doc to review a couple of weeks ago. And I think I only got halfway through it. Can you remind me where you sent me that link? Was it in a private message on Zulip? Yes. Perfect. I don't know why I didn't think through that yesterday. I was like, I should review this before the meeting tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, I can't find it. Anyway, I found it. Okay, so
I'm muted, sorry. Okay.
It's fine. I thought it was really great. So for those of you who are wondering what this is for, this is once we get our ad grant going, we will have ads and we'll need a specific landing page to drive traffic to. So this is very focused on Drupal 7 end of life traffic. And so it's got a whole bunch of stuff about comparing Backdrop and Drupal and reasons why Backdrop might be fantastic for people who are on Drupal 7. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And I think as soon as we get the wording correctly, we can publish it anytime. We don't have to wait for the ad. And I think that'll also help with general other traffic if people are like Googling for the same information we have on this page.
Do we have something? Sorry, I spaced for a moment. Do we have something ready, or are we saying that we're planning to write something?
We have a Google Doc with all the language in it that is blocked by getting a review. I think it's public. So Matthias, do you want to send Gregory the link also?
Yeah, if we put it somewhere like on a channel on Zulip, so that everyone can access it and I can have a look as well. Thanks.
You mean the Google Doc links?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to check. Yeah. Let me check.
Thanks.
Here, I have a chat with both of you.
Yep.
Just threw it in
Well,
there.
Here we go.
That will do it. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. All right. What's relevant right now? So Backdrop Live, we're currently collecting registrations. I think once we get an idea of how many people are attending, we have a lot of different ideas about how to do scheduling versus self-scheduling. So I don't know if we want to worry about that now, Tim, or if you want to wait until.
Well, I feel like we need to talk about it really, really soon, but I don't know if we have time in this meeting. So I could give a couple of, say just a couple of things.
Sure.
And then if we want, we can not try to solve it now, but do it later. So the intention was for this to largely be an unconference with a user-generated schedule and discussions. And I love that format, but it's hard to market. We had originally built kind of a tool where people could suggest topics on the website and self-schedule them, but that was looking too complicated. So we kind of took that down and we're just asking people what they want to talk about when they register. The problem is we're not getting petty people registering right now. And I suspect, as in most of these camps, that 80% of the registrations are going to come the last week, or maybe 60. So I don't think we can wait that long before I think we can do some schedule. I'd like to start scheduling some sessions, partly for marketing purposes, so we have something to talk about. I also would like to be able to reach out to people and say, hey, are you coming to camp, and what topic would you like? And then, like, if they have a great topic and are willing to facilitate it, I'd like to say, oh, well, let's put that on the schedule, because then we can start getting them invested in the camp and promoting it. If we don't schedule anything until the last few days, we've got nothing to promote, like specific until the last few days. So exactly how that should work, I don't know yet. I have some thoughts. I don't know if we have time to talk it through now, but I'd like to start. I guess quickly, my idea right now is that we start sort of building a schedule, maybe where there's, people aren't doing it themselves, but they're doing it with us, where they contact me or Jen or somebody and they say, hey, I want to do X topic. And then we sort of pick a slot, put it on the schedule. Everything's tentative. We tell people it's all tentative and can get moved around, but at least sort of tentatively have things on the schedule so people could. Because I think if people start to see the schedule building out, that's going to get them more enthused.
I also think it might be a good idea to reach out to like people that you know are going to be there, like you, me, Gregory, like anyone who like we know what time zone they're in. We know like, hey,
Yeah.
Craig, what do you want to present on right now? And he's like, oh, I've got these 4 great ideas. We could put them in there. And then if we have to move us, like it's not a big deal because we're like, oh,
Right.
it's fine. We'll just shift an hour one way or the other. But at least we'll start to get some content on there that we can market. And then as we start to get more people, we could add like either more slots per section. So like we talked about having this 3 hours on 3 hours off format. If we put like one person every section at the beginning and then we end up with like 2 people in every section, or 2, we could switch to like 2 rooms at the same time sort of thing, like that, based on how many people we get. But I think it would be good to leave some of that self-scheduling until the event. So I don't know if we want that to be like, maybe we only do 1 track now and schedule 1 later, or maybe we always leave 1 slot open in any 3-hour window, or just something so that it doesn't look like, oh, there's no room for me to present or something like that for new people.
Yep. So I quickly took the liberty of sharing my screen, and I think, I don't know exactly how we present this to the public, but if we started to have like, just take some topics that we're pretty sure we're interested in and we can get people to facilitate, that we start to flesh it out. But like you say, Jen, I think we should leave a lot of blank spaces to make it clear to people that they have an opportunity to shape this. And I'd like to get 5 or 6 things on here pretty quickly. Plus, I'd like to talk about, I have a couple, I right now, my proposal is 3 sort of plenary type sessions. If we end up with multiple tracks, like an opening session, and this Meet the Community is just a session where like everybody talks about what they're doing. It's kind of an open discussion, just who they are, where they're from, and what they're doing with Backdrop. And I saw
like that.
plenary, it could
I
just
like
be a
that.
session. And then the last one was towards the end to do kind of a plenary, which is a kind of a panel discussion about the future of Backdrop, panel and open discussion. So like those things we could schedule now and get them on, and then we could start to fill in 4 or 5 of these others. And then we could we could reach out to people specifically and like say, hey, what do you want to talk about? And where can we put it on the schedule, and start engaging them in that way. And I'd love to be able to like tweet about a new session every day, right? For the next 2 weeks. We're only 2 weeks, right? This starts 2 weeks from tomorrow. So.
I love it.
Okay.
Looks good.
So Jen, if you have time, or anybody, maybe later this after the last meeting, we could check back on this briefly.
Okay.
But I think that's enough for the full group.
Okay.
One thing that I have to say is that certain presentations in Drupal events seem okay. Like there's even some short ones, like 15, 20 minutes presentations. But there's certain other ones that take the hour, and then at the end, it seems to me that there's people that want to ask more questions, but they have to end it because there's that 1 hour limit. So I would like us to have a way for people, like if there's discussion, at the same time, they don't want to lose the next one, miss the next event or presentation, but the fair to, we can discuss this. Like, I don't know if this needs to be an official slot, or we say that we'll discuss this the next day or whatever. But I would like us to figure out a way to do that.
Sure.
At the same time, I don't want us to drag things too long, because I know that after an hour or 2, people
that's what I was going to say. So the other thing, I mean, I'm torn between, we don't have really tightly defined goals for this event, which would be helpful in making some of these decisions. Like one goal would be just a place for people in the community to get together and talk about what's going on already. Another goal is to bring new people in and market, and those come a little bit in conflict. I mean, not completely. We can accommodate both, but like the unconferencey format, I think is really good for people in the community already and already working with Backdrop, but it's not so good to like bring somebody in that just wants to try out Backdrop. And unless people tell me that, that maybe we can't do both of these things. I was thinking about that the blog post today and all the Drupal 7 stuff, and like, should we during this event be having like us, migrating from Drupal almost mini workshop. A 2-hour, a lot of the things are unstructured. Is that like the topic that's going to bring people in, and would that need to be a little more structured? And then there could be an unconferencey discussion later to just talk about it. And we have the flexibility, right, to do that kind of stuff, but we need, like, if we're going to do that, we need to decide it soon, because that's something that people really will want to get on their calendar.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I would like a session to be dedicated. I've seen like maybe half a dozen or more new people to Backdrop, and most of them have expressed like a few complaints, I should say. So I would like us to have a session where it's going to be all Q&A, as in, I don't know how we're going to title it, as come and tell us what we're doing wrong. We had a nice issue in the queue. I can't remember where it is. What we're doing right, what you like about Backdrop, and what you dislike about Backdrop, and everyone would list their top 3 likes and dislikes. And I would like us to have that feedback, because this is something that is not happening during events in Drupal.
To me, it's a no-brainer to have just a discussion about upgrading, where people could do that. You could do that kind of thing. So my question here is more about, do we want to try and schedule something more structured, or save that for another time?
My gut would be that I would prefer to save that for another time, because I think, like, especially in this 3-hour block format,
right,
it's either going to be something where, like, you're going to lose someone right away at the beginning because they can't follow along, or they're not interested yet because they don't yet know they're committed to Backdrop. So I feel like we can maybe have a conversation or discussion at this event about that and say, like, would people be interested in such a thing? But I think just throwing it on the schedule might be a little premature. I mean, I don't know. We could also, like, see on Friday what people think, and if they really want to do it on Saturday. But yeah, I'd be a little hesitant to block off.
I jumped to the solution. Let me describe the problem and see if it is a problem, and
Yes.
Maybe there's a better solution. My problem, or the problem I'm trying to solve, is somebody that's just sort of Backdrop curious, right? And they're looking at the Backdrop Live, and they're seeing a bunch of topics that feel to them like they're kind of advanced. And maybe they're thinking this isn't the event for them. Like, do we want, one, is that a problem? And 2, is there a solution, something we can do to entice them?
Yeah, I mean, I think like curating those sessions to make sure that there are some that are very high level introductory would be my first recommended solution. I would think that doing a block of upgrading might be way too technical for those people anyway. Okay. I think if we could do like a 15-minute like high level overview, that might be something where you've got their attention the whole time and you can do a sort of a pitch on an upgrade. But I think something where you try and get them into it, like a workshop, would be too much for someone who doesn't know Backdrop yet.
Fair enough. I'm good with that.
So who has been notified about the Backdrop Live so far? How many people and what kind of group has this gone out to?
So far, I'll just jump in. So far, we've just been promoting it through our local channels, our chat channel, through Twitter and through Facebook. We plan to do this newsletter as quickly as we can, and that will reach like 2,000 people. Is that right, Jen?
Yeah.
That have been signing up for the last 5 years. I do want to also, I don't know if now's the time or later, talk about what else we can do to promote this. Like I just asked Matthias, there's a German language Backdrop site that just launched a couple of weeks ago, and it would be great to have them do a blog post. And we should be thinking about like what other channels we can tap into. Are there some podcasts that might want to talk to us about it if we reach out to them?
Or Facebook channels, maybe.
Well, we've been posting it on our Facebook page for Backdrop, but if there's others.
What about other Facebook pages where people are looking for solutions?
Well, that's a good point. We welcome ideas of other places in Facebook or other groups that we could try to connect with. I think you're touching on a really important point, which is that we often, focus on the channels with the people that really, certainly are developers and stuff like that, and not necessarily, we're not good at reaching out, I think, to sort of end users or people that just need a website. right? We need to do better at that.
Well,
And I don't, go
the
ahead.
promotion for Backdrop seems to be towards businesses, people who want to have a website with their business. There's a whole lot of those people. And if some part of the promotion of Backdrop could be showing the benefits and attraction of using Backdrop as a business website builder.
Yep.
And there must be millions of businesses out there looking to do something. And usually somebody just says, oh, go install WordPress,
Right.
you know. And
think
so to grab even a 1 or 2% of that group would be a lot of people. So
Yeah,
just
the idea is right, but it's how to do it. That's
well, it'd be Facebook pages mostly, business Facebook pages. People, there's a lot of focus now on entrepreneurship and what are you going to do for your presence for your business. So that would be a good place to begin, I think.
okay. Well, everybody send me ideas about how to promote this, and please, promote it in your own channels. And I think we'll talk more about this in the days to come.
Should be some part of it that's not so technically oriented, but is more a benefits piece that would show people, oh, there is an alternative to WordPress. There is an alternative to some of these other CMSs, and this has a good security background that some of the other CMSs may not have, or whatever the talking points are, that should go out to people who are looking for solutions.
My
And
idea,
not just developers.
yeah, my idea for business owners is this. I'm not saying this is a bad idea and we should make the effort, but business owners do not have the technical capacity to compare, or they won't make the choice. Let me put that way. Because Drupal and Backdrop are harder than WordPress, for example. So an obvious choice for someone that want to do a do-it-yourself thing will be something like WordPress or Squarepress or sorry, what's called it? Wix.
Wix.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes, all these things. What we need to target is the group between the business owners and the enterprise digital agencies. The small workshops, people that have some technical knowledge, but they don't have either the time or the capacity or the budget to afford to train people to do something more sophisticated. They've been businesses that have been running for years, for decades, and they're used to a certain way, and that could be a way similar to Drupal, right? Maybe they have been using both Drupal and WordPress, and they want to do something like they have customers that have simple sites, which they do WordPress, like they use WordPress to build, and then they have certain sites that want to do some complicated stuff that's where Drupal and Backdrop shine. So I think if we start convincing that group of people, they will start convincing their customers, because usually customers do not make the decision for the software. It's like you go to them and say, this is what I use. You present all the sites and they say, all right, just can you do this and that for me? I don't care what you use. I just want it to work. So basically,
yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
so the business people aren't the ones that make the decision about which CMS to use.
Yes.
So it's the developers that are already in the field working with business owners.
Yeah, it might not be developers. It might be the project or the technical account managers, the account managers of the business, right? So if we convince the developers, we've done one step, and then we need to make it easier for the engagement managers, whatever you call them. I guess you don't have such a fancy title in small businesses. I guess the digital agency owner or the person that approaches the customers to sort of like provide them the tools. That could be presentations, or like we're doing a great job with providing a demo thing on the site. So things like that, tools that they can use to showcase or convince the customers to go with that.
I think we've got a few other items on the agenda we should try to move on to, right?
Okay. So also in events land, we have Bad Camp coming up. This year at Bad Camp, we have a half-day training class and a full-day mini camp. It might be interesting to see how our Backdrop Live event goes and see if we want to use some of the same content or maybe even some of the same format for the mini camp. It's also going to be online, so I think lessons learned from one will be applicable to the other.
Bad Camp's still free?
Yes, but the training costs money.
Okay.
It's
The mini
it's
camp would be free
in-person
then.
event.
What was that?
The mini camp would be free.
Yes, the mini camp would be free.
Matthias, you said something. It was
Yeah.
what did you say?
Is it a real event, in-person event, or a virtual?
No, I think it's still all virtual. I
Okay.
assumed it was. Is Luke
That's-
still here?
It's my understanding. Oh, did we lose Luke?
He's still here.
No, I'm still here. Yeah, no, I'm involved in Bad Camp. It's virtual. It's usually an in-person thing, but this year it's fully virtual.
Because
It's
it's
free,
not mentioned
though.
on the website.
I'm sorry.
It's not mentioned on the website if it's an in-person event or a virtual event.
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
It says Berkeley,
we don't-
California.
Or I didn't see it. Don't know.
I can't find it either. We look forward to seeing you online in October. So it's the third to last word in the first paragraph.
Well, and they list the location as Berkeley, California. So that's
Yeah.
a little deceptive.
I'll have to bring that up. That's really that's funny. That's one of those oversights that
Yeah.
doesn't really jump out at you, but when you point it out, that's a big fail. I'll bring that up.
So yeah, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that. The session submissions for Bad Camp itself ended on Monday. They had an interesting requirement this year where they said they weren't going to accept any sessions that they were presented before. So the specific push for unique content, which I thought was interesting. I submitted a couple of Backdrop ideas, but they were all sessions I'd done before, so I'm not expecting them to get accepted. But I feel like we're going to have enough content on Backdrop Day that there should still be Backdrop awareness at the camp. But yeah, we'll see. I think some other people submitted some sessions that are Backdrop related too that might have been new content, but we'll see. I don't know.
I'll advocate for once. It's funny. I actually went in on Saturday to submit some sessions, and it was mislabeled both on the site and in the reminder email. In both places, it said that that session submissions close on Friday at midnight. I was like, oh, I'm too late. and it turns out that like behind the scenes, and I remember it. I was like, didn't we say it was on Monday? But then, I convinced myself I must have had that wrong because here it's obviously saying. So I thought that was a.
Well, they did the thing where they're like, sessions close on Friday. Just kidding, they close on Monday, but they didn't actually like update the website.
The website, like where you go to submit it,
Right.
It's saying it's too late. So,
Right. That's unfortunately common at Drupal camps.
Yep.
I've been there myself, so.
Yep. So yeah, I don't have any specific thoughts on Bad Camp. Currently distracted by the Backdrop 117 release and Backdrop Live.
It's a full month after Backdrop Live, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say that like the day after Backdrop Live.
We start thinking about it.
Because you're right, we will
We can
learn some things and maybe even recruiting some people.
And we can recycle material.
Yep.
All right, so also relevant is Backdrop 117. There's a bunch of cool stuff in it. If you want to hear about it, come to the next meeting. There's going to be much more cool stuff in it, at least bug fixes. But yeah, I think that's, I don't know, in terms of outreach stuff, we're going to have some tweets, some blog posts, and a newsletter all relating around 117. And I'm hoping that the Backdrop Live event will be able to showcase some of the new stuff that's gone in there too. So it'll all be great. Is there anything else that's super relevant right now that anyone's thinking about other than Backdrop 117 or Backdrop Live? I know I'm not.
Well, I am partly thinking about that open source day, Jen,
Oh yeah.
and I think we should mention it because, or first just let people know that it's going on, remind them, and also this from an outreach standpoint, I think they're promoting the event, and well, it's an opportunity for us to promote Backdrop to potential contributors, right? Because
Can you quickly explain what
Yes.
it is?
Yes. Can you, Jen, do you have a better idea than I do?
Sure. So I'm trying to find my Google Calendar event, but I can't find it in a minute. So there's an organization that specifically, I mean, not only, but is specifically focused on getting women involved in technology. And they have an event they're calling Open Source Day, which is a huge movement to get a whole bunch of their members contributing to open source projects. And so what they've done is they've gone to a bunch of different open source communities, requested representatives to be available for a day or two in October, where they will have a list of issues that are identified online that are good for first-time contributors. They'll have a couple of people around to help them. And then the organization itself has reached out to their community of sponsors and gotten a bunch of people called mentors that will help new people contribute to open source projects. So we've got existing people who are really involved in open source, plus projects that have representatives who need help working on open source, working together with a huge pool of people who want to contribute to open source to hopefully get a whole bunch of people contributing to a whole bunch of projects. And so I volunteered Backdrop as a project that they could work on. They had a couple of requirements, like you must already have a list of issues identified, you must have a lot of activity in the queue, whatever. And we met all of the requirements. So I'm just like, here's Backdrop. And they were like, this is great, you're accepted. Can you please provide a couple of mentors, or what do they call us, representatives? And so I volunteered to be one, Tim volunteered to be one. I think Gregory also might have offered to be one. And so we got invited this week to a Slack channel where everybody's going to be contributing. And all week long, there's been people who are coming from all of their member organizations showing up like, hi, I work at AWS and I do whatever. I work at Red Hat and I do whatever. And these are the people who are the mentors that are going to be helping their new people. And starting closer to the event, all of the people who want to contribute will also be onboarded, and we'll get some time to help introduce them to Backdrop and show them our issue queue and identify issues that would be good for new contributors to work on. So I've been spending a little bit more time than usual adding the good first issue label to things in our queue, just to make sure that we've got a good queue of those ready to go. But I think it'll be really fun. It's going to be a huge influx of people for, I would imagine, a short period of time, but I expect that we'll probably be able to get some of those people hooked on the wonderful open source contribution bug. So that's my goal. But yeah, it's something that I think will be great for us and hopefully good for all of the participants as well.
When is
Right.
that happening, Jen? The Slack thing?
It's an excellent question.
Let me rephrase that. Whenever it's happening, just can you ping me or everyone, I guess, interested on Zulip so that we know.
Yes.
It's on October
something-
1st. It's 9:30 to 6 p.m. Pacific time in the US. I think this is, well, you know, that in addition to making sure we have some issues that are ready, we should also make sure that our active people in the issue queue are ready to be welcoming.
Yeah.
And I would like really try to push, like, we're more likely to get people to come back and help on another issue if they see results on the first one. So I
Yeah,
would say that we
that's
try to direct them to issues that are likely to move forward, and then make an extra effort to ensure that the issues do move forward. Because, like, yeah, I think the first issue I worked on for Drupal was still open 6 years later. And, yeah, it's okay, but it's discouraging.
Did Jen, did you mention that this is a sort of like is it the same event as trying to get women into technology? Is that the same event, or that's
Yes.
Yeah,
That's-
so the
okay.
name of the organization or the event in particular is the Grace Hopper Celebration.
Yeah. So this is something that I wanted to bring up maybe shortly. I guess, Jen, you're the obvious person that identifies themselves as female correct me if I'm wrong, in the community. And I'm not sure. So Jack identifies as they, and then I think Indigo Zella is he, she, or they. So I guess even in the meetings, like you can see from the panel here, like it's all guys. So I would like us to have more of a female tats, and in general, other gender tats. We are doing a good job by representing all sorts of people from all walks of life in the PMC, but I would like to see that happen in the queue as well and in the meetings eventually. So I don't know how we can move towards that, but that event sounds like a good
Yes.
source, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like probably a good opportunity for that, exactly that. So I don't know if this is directly tied, but I also want to bring up Hacktoberfest, which I don't know if other people have seen this or have opinions on it, but it's DigitalOcean sponsors it, I think, and it's an idea. Their theme is open source is changing the world one pull request at a time, and my understanding is that basically it's a website. Organizations can come and schedule like sprints online, and then the idea is to get people contributing to open source projects. This is a bigger sort of global thing, and I think that DigitalOcean like offers a free T-shirt to like anybody that registers and then does one pull request. And I believe that like for Backdrop, we could do, if we scheduled a sprint in October, we could get it on their calendar, and if we publicized it, using like the hashtag Hacktoberfest, it's another opportunity to maybe do outreach to developers, to contributors, to potential contributors. I don't know if people have thoughts about putting a little effort into that.
Yeah, someone mentioned it on Slack in work, so maybe no one specifically said if they're interested or not, but maybe I can grab some people.
It seemed to get a lot of buzz on Twitter last year. I saw a lot of activity. Partly because I'm sort of subscribed to some people that are involved with a lot of like new coders. So it was really being promoted to new coders as an opportunity to develop their skills.
So I just posted a link into the meeting Slack or Zulip channel. Sorry. And I think this might be a good page for us to start promoting on social media or elsewhere, because Backdrop is listed as one of these projects that you can contribute to in the list of this year's projects in the Open Source Day, which is pretty cool. So it's really like, hey,
yeah,
thing.
On a side note, Jen, they in the chat channel, they seemed to be encouraging people to promote this, and then they had a link to the site, but you had to be registered to get to that link. So like, I think they have some tweets that they want people to use, although that's not to prevent us from doing something on our own. So. But yeah, we should promote it. I've been a little nervous about promoting it yet because I didn't understand it enough, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah. I think there's also kind of it's a little bit of a void for us as the representatives of the project, where I think they assume that everybody is involved enough in the event that we just know how it all works. And so every now and then I'm like, wait, what are we called? Like, what are we the representatives, or are we the mentors? And then they have to like explain it. And I'm like, oops, sorry. But yeah, I think we're getting there.
Before we close this meeting, I would like this. Savastri, are you? I see you in the meetings, but are you active in the Zulip chat or in the ECQ on GitHub? Yes.
Ask the question again. I didn't quite hear it.
So I see you joining these meetings, but I haven't seen. Maybe you use a different handle. Are you joined on our Zulip chat or the ECQ on GitHub, or?
I'm in Zulip, and
yeah, okay.
I'm working on this project that I was talking about, this introduction for beginners, and I'm more like a fly on the wall at the moment. I don't know enough about developing to be of any real value as a developer, but
documentation is equally relevant. The reason why I was asking is because the agency that I work for has open sourced the training guides. There's 2 guides now, but there's meant to be 3. One is the content editor guide, training guide. One is the site builder, and then there's the coder, which is yet to be published. And maybe I can get you some links, and then you can get some material because it's open source. You can grab some material of that.
Yeah.
I heard you mention it before, but I didn't mention it back then. I think that it will help you.
Yeah, I'd be happy if you put that in the chats where to send
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, and then I was interested, what would be the product of your work? Like, would you, is it going to be published by some of the known companies? Are you going to put it on the internet as a PDF?
It'll be a free PDF.
Okay, perfect. Because the software that, I'm not sure if you're using some software or what you're using, but we use Gitbook, which allows you to print it out as, so it's at the same time people can contribute, and whoever is interested to consume it can print it as PDF. But I'll post all those links. I'll get you a private message, or I'll start a stream or a topic.
And mostly what I'm trying to focus on is the very beginner who's looking at why they would want to use Backdrop, why a developer would want to develop in Backdrop as compared to other CMSs. What can Backdrop do better than WordPress can do? Why would you not want to go with Drupal 8 and go to Backdrop instead? Because you're not big enough to be a full enterprise level system, and that's too complicated, and Backdrop is a better target. You know, all the kinds of things that you know about much better than I do, I'm sure, of why you would want and promote those ideas to developers who work in developing small business applications for businesses. And I don't know how you find those developers, but I'm sure there are thousands of them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I think that part of the outreach should be as well providing good documentation. That's how you get people. Like people that are interested and they don't know how to use the product, and they get to face a system that is as powerful. I'm going to use the word powerful and not complex as Drupal and Backdrop. They might just give up without giving it a chance. But if there was some way to just help them out, you would get them to stay.
One of the things I noticed when I was on cPanel was I could install several different CMSs to play with if I wanted to. But Backdrop is not there. So I wrote to Softaculous to see if they might include it. But if we could get some more people to make it easy for people, you know, one-click install is very motivating for people to.
I think we have an issue for that. I'm looking to find an issue for that. We have an issue to include Backdrop in multiple, not just Softaculous, but other providers. I'm not sure where we're at with Softaculous, but I'm trying to find it now. It should be on the ops queue, right, Jen?
I think it's in the backdropcms.org queue. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I've looked it up recently. It's there.
So that would be something to promote at this Backdrop Live. Here, here's how you can install it easily and get going.
Yep.
Making it easy is useful.
Yep.
Yeah. Instead of sending you private links privately, Sarvasri, I'm going to create a topic in Zulip so that others can join the discussion for these things. Two topics, one for documentation and one for the thing. Yeah.
And Sarvasri, please use the Zulip to ask questions. You don't, you know, yeah. Don't feel intimidated to post there.
Okay.
Even just say hi once in a while.
Yeah, I haven't been getting on that often. Just,
sure.
You know, I was looking at it today to see what kinds of topics were being talked about and whatnot. And then I did a search for how to register for Backdrop Live and didn't find anything. There's a whole lot of things on Backdrop. You have to search for Backdrop CMS Live, and then you can find it through a Google search.
Yeah, pretty much anytime you search for anything related to Backdrop, you have to do Backdrop CMS, or there's too much other stuff.
There's lots of noise there.
Yes, there's too much noise. Yeah. So
It's a
I
problem
always,
using an English word.
yes,
I only made something up, like Drupal would
Yeah.
be fine in the searches.
That was a mistake. He was trying to register the like
Drupal.
yeah the Belgian word for drop, I guess. I mean, he misspelled it and came with a new word. Accidentally did good marketing.
so
I'm not sure if it was accidentally misspelled. I think it might have been intentionally misspelled, but it was a misspelling nonetheless.
should we wrap this meeting up?
Yeah, sounds good. We will rejoin each other. Actually, I can just stop the recording and then we don't have to go anywhere. All right.